Are you living from God or just trying to live for Him? They say go with the flow, but how does that work spiritually, or does it? Put differently, what if the biggest problem in our spiritual lives isn't that we're not trying hard enough, is that we're trying to be the source rather than go with the flow? This is Season 3, Episode 15 of Unhurried. Ryan Viramontes is right here with me.
Hey.
I'm Doug Pyle. Good to have you all with us. It's a little bit of, misty morning here today in the spring. It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah. Well, it was weird because driving in today, I was like, what is this weather? I'm like, it's so cloudy and like, it was like kind of rainy, and I'm just like, this is terrible. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I don't want this anymore. I want the sun to be out.
Yeah, we got spoiled there. It was sunny for so long, and now it's kind of, a little. I'm got the flannel on. You're still wearing the t-shirt though.
Well, so that was the thing, is because when I left, I was like, oh, it's going to be a sunny day today. Like, there's no point in getting a sweater, you know, but I probably should have gotten one, but oh well, this is what it is. Just rocking and rolling.
What are you sipping this morning?
I have a green tea today.
Green tea from James Coffee.
James Coffee.
All right.
Yeah.
Not a sponsor. But
not a sponsor, although, they're delicious.
It's good. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's a great kind of visual for us if you're watching, because this is meant to be just kind of a chance to slow down, to talk a little bit about the conversation we're having on Sunday mornings at Green Valley Church around current podcast series Life on the Vine. Our goal is to kind of do a deeper dive into these messages from Sunday morning, and we're looking at this idea that we're connected to the vine, that Jesus is the vine, we're the branches, and what that means to draw our life from Him. And I want to look a little bit more deeply into that today as we get into it our Sunday morning. I've noticed that it's easy for me to feel like my spiritual life mostly depends on how I'm doing that day. Does that resonate? Like, if I'm having a good day, then I feel like spiritually I'm doing well. If I'm having a bad day, then somehow I feel like spiritually I'm not doing well, as if it's sort of up to me.
Yeah, well, I think it might have been even today, or it might have been like yesterday. We got in the car and the kids were just like fighting, and nobody was getting along, and nobody was, being appropriate of people's boundaries. Like, they were just all over each other, and then also annoyed with each other.
Yeah.
So it was just a whole bunch of things. And so, we got in the car, and most of the time I'm okay with like listening to like whatever the kids are into, so it's like it kind of changes, whether it's like, Gabby Cat or some like hip hop song that they do at dance or something, whatever it is. Like, I'm kind of, most of the time I'm like, all right, fine.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can listen to it and I'll just drive, But the other day, Effie goes like, can we listen to Gabby Cat? And I go, no, we're listening to worship music. I was like, because it's going to change your spirit. I was like, because there is an evil spirit happening right now. I was like, it's going to change it and you're going to let it. I was like,
you're going to allow worship to change you. No Gabby Cat today.
No Gabby Cat today. I don't care what she's doing in Gabby's dollhouse. If anybody who watches the show has kids, I don't really care what's happening right now. Yeah. Okay, with Pandy Paws. All right.
Yes,
we're letting the Holy Spirit change this car ride right now.
Yeah. A couple episodes ago, you talked about what was it, oodles and poodles?
Yes, oodles and poodles. Exactly.
Yeah. You didn't resort to that. You were just like, nope, we're just putting everybody be quiet. Exactly. If you want to close your eyes and worship, that's fine.
Exactly.
Lift your hands.
Lift your hands.
Don't say a word.
Catch a bubble and let the Holy Spirit change your attitude.
Oh man, that's funny. I feel like why I'm so. We can just let our feelings kind of run the show.
Yes,
we can
very
say,
much
this
so.
is how I'm feeling today, so I feel good. Me and God, we're just like this. I'm tired, or I'm worn out, or I'm frustrated, or I'm just, just whatever. And then I can let that determine how I'm doing with God too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to
Very
me,
much so.
the suspicious phrase in all of that is, in that way of looking at it, when I say it's easy for me to feel my spiritual life depends mostly on how I'm doing that day, the suspicious phrase is I'm doing. Because I have somehow equated what I'm doing to my spiritual life.
Yeah.
It's kind of about me and my efforts and my vitality, rather than the one who's available in that moment to turn to and draw on. Like maybe the worship song is a great example. Like, God's available right now for us to look to him. It's not about, in a way, it's not about what's happening inside this car. It's about what's happening, from the eternal heavenlies that can be poured into our right where we are.
Right. Well, his love for us and his grace for us never changes, right? It's us that are the ones that keep changing. We keep changing terms of, we're in a bad mood, so God must be far away, or I don't feel very connected to the vine, as we're going to get into, but because it's me, you know what I mean? But it's not him. He never changes. It's us that are the ones that are always faltering.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, so we want to look a little bit more deeply into what this means, and kind of the loaded question for us today is the idea: are we living from God or just trying to live for Him? And I think there's real benefit, and when we see that our life comes from God, and it's not just about us bringing everything we can to live for God. A big difference. A huge difference. So I want to look at that a little bit more deeply. We're in the series, as you mentioned, on the vine. It comes from John 15, where Jesus described himself as the vine. I am the vine. Earlier he had said, I am the true vine, saying that he's the one that the only place that we can draw our life truly. And then in verse 5, he says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you'll bear fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. And so that's the big picture of our discussion. And it's been kind of carrying us for several weeks through this podcast. And today I want to follow up on the passage that we looked at on Sunday, which is, as the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Now remain in my love. And the idea, do you catch the transfer that's going on there? It's the Father that has loved me, so I love you. So Jesus is saying that the very love that God the Father had for him is the same love that he had for us. That to me is incredible. That Jesus, Jesus in many ways could equally have said he was the source of love, but he focused back at the Father as in his human state now on earth. He was drawing love from God the Father and then allowing that to just flow through him to his disciples and to his followers. And so we are the recipients of God the Father's love through Jesus to us. That alone is just mind-boggling. Couple verses later then, though, he amplifies this, and he says in verse 12, my command is this, love each other as I have loved you. So this as I have loved you kind of idea is that the Father loves Jesus, Jesus loves us, and then we love others. We just are called to keep the transfer going. We're going with the flow, if you will. We're staying in the flow. That's what I think it means to abide or remain, is to stay in the flow of God's love, to allow the love that God had for Jesus, his Son, which is this incredible, eternal, infinite love, coming from God the Father to Jesus, now coming to us, and now we are called to then pass that on to those around us. To me, it's just this mind-boggling picture.
Right. Well, I love that when you said that on Sunday too. Of you asked the question of, what do we do when we necessarily don't like somebody, or it's hard to love them,
Yes.
and you had, so nicely said that, well, our source of love doesn't come from us. It comes from Jesus,
Yes.
and that's where we get our love for others is through him,
Yes, it's just staying in that flow. God is his love for this world, God so loved the world, he gave his son. His love for the world is infinite and eternal, and we get to tap into that. Now, speaking of tap into that, I have asked. I have a surprise for you during this podcast. Our admin.
There's a lot of cables, so careful.
Is bringing. You want to come around this way. You know how it's a rainy morning. We're gonna have a little tea.
Oh,
this
nice,
morning,
nice.
Right? So if you want to just fill that up.
Well, I jokingly say that there used to be a guy that used to work here about 10 years ago.
I know.
That used to do this every day.
Yes.
For everybody in the office, but I don't know what happened to him.
So,
Did we let him go?
Yeah, so you brought that up several times, and finally I got the hint. I go, you know what I'm going to do? I am going to make tea for Ryan on the show. So
Thank you, Bethany.
Bethany, that's very kind, super kind. So I am making tea for you because you teased me about that.
I
Like,
do
remember when you used to make me tea in the office?
No, I like to say that I don't even say you.
Some guy.
I'm like, man, what happened to that guy?
Yeah, some dude that used to,
he used to go around to everybody's office and bring them tea. I'm like,
right.
Did we let him go? Like, can we bring him back? Did he retire? What happened to that guy?
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set a timer.
Okay.
On my phone here, and keep an eye on that. And I'm steeping some tea perfectly for us.
Thank you very much. I
All right?
appreciate that. Thank you.
I don't know how much caffeine you've had besides the green
I'll be
tea
rocking
there,
and rolling.
but we got a little bit more coming for you. I almost thought we should call this episode the time that they had tea.
Nice.
There
you
that time
go.
that they made tea.
There you go.
I'm steeping tea as we speak. Let's see. Can you see it on? You can barely see it.
You can barely see it.
I'm going to put it up here so
There you go.
it's right in the camera view.
Nice. Nice orange color, too.
Orange teapot. We've got
Very
these.
nice.
So, actually, I was inspired by one of our listeners who on Sunday morning brought me some tea and said, you know what you should do on the podcast? You should have tea with Ryan.
We should.
And I thought, yeah, he's been teasing me about that a long time. I'm going to do it. I'm going to bring tea.
Well, life has changed. You know what I mean? Like, in the last decade that we've been, doing ministry together, like, I didn't have children when I first started.
Yeah, you need tea more now, actually. Something to calm you down,
Like, I need all the help I can get. These
Kids,
days.
listen to worship. I'm going to sip my tea.
Exactly. That's so good.
All right.
Oh, I love it.
So, I've got the tea steeping. This is a black tea.
Nice. I love black tea.
Bonfire toffee tea from Scotland.
Wow.
On this rainy day.
I know.
It just
So
seemed
good.
perfect. I looked at the weather.
Thanks, buddy.
And I'm going, what would be perfect? This is actually from this tea shop in Scotland.
Nice.
And it is, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's got kind of that little smoky flavor to
right,
it.
right.
Because the bonfire name, that's the bonfire name.
Yeah. Well,
And-
I had, it was funny because I had an original idea before we started Unhurried.
Yeah.
I had an idea of doing a podcast called Tea and Testimonies.
Oh.
Where you would sit down with somebody and sip tea, and they
And
would
hear
tell
their
their story. Yeah, hear their story.
Yeah. Yeah.
We could still make that work.
We could still make that work. It'd be tea, testimonies, and hockey is what it would be.
No, it wouldn't be me, is what I'm saying. Like, we would bring somebody else on and have them share their story.
I see.
And then that's where we would get the testimony part.
Gotcha.
If I was on it, then yes, hockey would be
then
brought up.
hockey would come up for sure.
My season it starts next week, so
Yeah. Hey, speaking, the tea is steeping because
Yo.
it's still in process. You'll be very proud of me.
Yes.
This week, I watched a hockey game on TV. I watched the Ducks win their
win the series.
Yeah.
So they played, what was that, last Thursday, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, they won. They beat the Edmonton Oilers, which is always fun. I love when United States teams, even though they have Canadian players on the team, right?
Yeah.
I just love when they beat a Canadian team.
There you go. Yeah, because Canada thinks they're all that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So anytime, Anaheim can beat Edmonton, I'm always happy.
Yeah, well, that's what happened. We have friends that are really into hockey. Apparently, it's not just you.
Right.
And they said, hey, come on over and watch some hockey with us. So we did.
Nice.
And I took a picture of the screen and
Yep,
sent it to you.
yep.
Go, guess this is happening right now. Guess
Yeah,
what we get. So,
yeah.
so you're rubbing off on me.
Yeah,
Apparently.
well, it's good. Yeah, I had tickets to actually go to that game,
Really?
but I decided not to because it was the kids' practice that day.
Hmm.
And so I'm the coach, and
Yeah, kind
I
of need to be there.
I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
I really enjoy watching the kids skate, and I just get a hoot. Like one of my favorite videos that I have is I was filming them doing a drill. Okay, so on face-offs, you can line up in different formations and positions, and so I was teaching them what to look for if the puck kind of goes this way, then you move in this formation, or if it goes this way, then you can swing this way, and so I go, I have one of the assistant coaches. I go, okay, you're gonna drop the puck, and I want to film it just so that I can see where I can help the kids understand the drill, right?
Mhm.
So I go, okay, drop the puck. So he drops the puck, and it's going on. And for whatever reason, I have no idea how this happened, but in the background of the video, and I didn't realize this until I had gotten home and rewatched it,
Mhm.
my son like falls, okay, just like trips, and he's a
Yeah.
good skater, and so he just like fell. I don't know, this happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, for whatever reason, my daughter Evie didn't realize that he fell. And so then she trips over him. So then in the back of the video, as I'm watching the other kids in the drill, my two kids are literally on top of each other.
Yeah.
It's
Just tripping over each
Yeah, so
other,
then
falling on the ice.
Exactly. So
Yes.
I went home and I watching the video and I go, wait a minute. I go, are those my kids? I'm like, what happened? I sometimes I watch it just to make myself laugh.
Did you show it to them?
Yes, I did. I go, what's going on here? Like, what happened? And then they're like, oh, I don't know.
That's so
Well,
funny.
I fell, and and then I'm like,
Yeah.
Evie wasn't even paying attention and falls right on top of them, and they're both on the floor, and I'm just like, oh my goodness,
All right, here you go. The tea is ready.
Oh, thank you
Smell
very
that.
much.
First of all, smell that. That's can you smell the bonfire toffee?
I do. Wow.
Right, it
It
might
smells
be hot.
delicious.
It might
Yeah,
be
it's a
hot.
little
You can wait a little bit, but
Wow. Delicious.
what do you think?
Thank you. Oh, wow, that is delicious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great.
All right.
See?
So it, you squeaky wheel gets the grease. You tease me long enough. Here we go. Bonfire
right.
toffee coffee, tea on the podcast.
You might get promoted.
Yeah, really.
You remind me of a younger
You
me.
remind me of a guy you used to know like a decade ago. Yeah.
You remind me of a younger me.
I love it.
You've never said that to me.
No. Not yet.
You still have a lot to learn, Ryan.
There's a long way to go. But keep trying. Keep trying.
That's what I tell the kids anytime they ask anything about hockey. I go, call me after 30 years.
Yeah, right. Then we'll talk.
Then we'll talk.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're kind of into it with that. We took a little hockey tea break.
Yeah, we
there,
did.
But
We did. Thank you.
Thanks for everyone humoring us with
Yeah.
that. But we want to get back into this idea of just, are we living from God or trying to live for Him? And they say go with the flow, but is that how it works?
Right.
I want to talk about how if we really do have this transfer that you and I were talking about, we're from God the Father to Jesus to us to others, and if our goal is to just live in that flow, 6 big differences that living from God rather than simply for Him makes. And I think they're profound. And the difference is, first of all, the first thing I want to say is that when we start to see things this way and live this way, we realize that it's relationship with God that comes first. It's not about trying harder or what we do, do's and don'ts, the behavior. It's first of all about relationship. Everything flows downstream from God to Jesus to us to others. And we just need to stay connected. And to me, that is a big difference. A lot of times, we've talked about this, you and I both, on the podcast and separately, just about how the people in our lives that we care about that may or may not have a relationship with God yet, that's the most important, that's the critical piece.
Mhm.
Once they get that piece in place, then other things start to fall in
Mhm.
place. And sometimes we just deal with the external stuff rather than this heart issue. And so when we start to see it as staying in the flow of God's love, keeping that transfer going, relationship comes first,
Mhm.
not performance, not trying harder. I think that's a big difference. In fact, this week it struck me that I think in many Christian circles we overemphasize Jesus's words about saying, the servant who will one day hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant." That's a great phrase, and that's an important phrase, but I feel like we overemphasize that as if it's really all about when we get to heaven, we're going to be just like, "Oh, good, I got an attaboy."
Right, right.
I got to have, "Oh, good, I did what I was supposed to do." When we get to heaven, we're going to be so overwhelmed with Jesus' love for us and the grace that he has poured.
Mhm.
It's not going to be primarily about, "Oh, I guess I did a good job." That's part of it for
Mhm.
sure. But it's going to be primarily about the fact that this relationship that we've been cultivating, ever since we met him, has now culminated in this face-to-face reality.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and in the fact that one day we will be so, like you said, so overwhelmed and so consumed by Jesus' love for us that the important part is what we do with that love, earth side versus heaven side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because heaven side is the race is done, right?
Yes.
We ran the race. We hopefully lived a godly life and share Jesus' love to others. But once we get heaven side, all of that stuff, doesn't. We're not going to be we're not going to be consumed with those thoughts anymore because Jesus' love is going to be so overwhelming to us.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's so important to make sure that we show it earth side.
Yes, we're kind of getting ready for that now,
Yeah.
and we need to cultivate that. When my spiritual life is about being, first of all, from God before it's for God,
Right.
it focuses on relationship.
Mhm.
I've got to
Mhm.
draw from him,
Yes.
from that relationship.
Yes.
Secondly, it changes. It's not as much about performance as it's about connection.
Mhm.
It's about just staying connection. If it comes from God, then I need to stay connected. That's Jesus's big point. Abide in his love, remain, stay
Mhm.
connected. Obedience becomes less about proving myself and more about just staying in sync with
Yes.
Jesus, making sure that I'm connected to him.
Mhm.
Connection becomes more important than performance. Performance becomes an outgrowth of connection rather than my goal.
Right.
It's about connection over performance.
Right.
I think thirdly, it takes the pressure off. It's not about this pressure to perform that I think a lot of people feel in the spiritual life, and they can come to church and just kind of feel guilty and feel like, "Oh man, I'm not really living up to what I should be." It's really about participation. It's not this pressure. It's like, let me just get in sync with what God's doing. There's this guy, let's see if I can remember his name, Blackaby.
Okay.
Henry Blackaby? I think Henry is his first name, but his last name is Blackaby. He was very popular, a couple decades ago, writer, and he was popular for this one phrase, basically. And it was the idea, or there was one concept, it was the idea that instead of trying to do something for God, look around and see what God is doing and get in the jet stream of it.
Right.
Step into what God is already doing rather than trying to do something for God. Look what he's doing and get in and come into it. And that to me is a powerful difference. That's the idea here. It's not this pressure, I've got to do something for God. It's God wants to do something in me, and I just need to participate with that.
Right. Well, and it's also true in everyday kind of life where you can see God moving in directions or seeing God move in your kid's school or like even Pastor Andrew shared a story, when he gave a message like a few weeks ago that he was saying that he and Amy were walking by like a house in their neighborhood, and they were like, they felt it on their heart to pray for them, and it was just one of those things where it's like he didn't find out until months later that they were expecting a baby, and they didn't know how to like they were kind of stressed and like didn't know how to handle like their other kids' school schedule and drop off and stuff. And it was just one of those things where you're like, Andrew was just aware of what God was doing, and maybe not knew them personally, but was tuned in enough in the flow of what God was doing in their life, and how he could help,
It's a whole different way to think about it, like to realize God is at work all around us and he wants to work through us.
Yeah.
And to simply be a little bit, our connection to him will then allow us to step into that.
Exactly.
The next thing I think is really important. It changes the idea from scarcity to overflow. I feel like if I'm working for God, I end up getting empty.
Mm-hmm.
I end up running out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, there's only so much I can do. If it's all about me, then I just wear myself down. But if I'm simply called to stay in the flow of God's love through me, well, his love is infinite, as we've already said. It's a source that never runs out. It's a well that never runs dry. So I can just tap into this eternal love that wants to flow through me, rather than me manufacturing a love that is limited and ends up running dry now and then.
Right. Well, it made me think about what my mom like always used to say, and I know it's really popular, but the verse of the for the mouth speaks and the what the heart is full of,
Yes.
And it's like when you were speaking on Sunday, I was like, oh, my mom used to say that to us all the time when we were little kids. But it's very much, to echo what you were saying. It's like, if we're in the flow of God, if we're so full, right, of his love and his grace, then to give that to other people, it just overflows. You know, my cup is overflowing. You know what I mean? And but on the flip side of that, right, when we're running, scarce and the well is dry, it's kind of a signal for us to maybe take a step back, and get back into the overflow of God's Spirit, But yeah.
Coming back to what you were saying earlier about the idea that sometimes it's hard to love someone if you don't like them, I think it's completely legitimate and fair for us to come to God and say, God, I can't do this.
Right.
This, what it seems like how you want to flow through me right now is beyond my ability. I just don't have the energy, the feelings. I just can't stir it up in me to be able to do this. And I feel like Jesus would say, that's fair.
Yeah.
And he goes, I can.
Right.
I do. I do have that love. And so it's not about you stirring up, drumming up, creating, manufacturing the love and the energy that you need. It's a lot about allowing me to flow through you and do that in the way that I want to, in the way that's best for that individual, and amazingly best for us too.
Right.
It's always win-win. Jesus, we'll talk about that in a moment, but there's this beautiful side benefit that comes from that, of us staying in his flow. But suddenly it's not about scarcity, like I'm just worn out, I can't do this. It's about overflow. Jesus can do it through us. That's great. I think the difference is, like, if you want a picture for this, the difference is the picture between, sometimes we operate as if we're supposed to be a reservoir, that we just stock up all this love in our lives and then we let it spill out into others. And I think Jesus wants us to be a river. He wants us to just allow it to continue to flow through us, and to draw as we pour into others. God is always pouring into us, and so we never run dry. Yeah. It doesn't mean we don't get tired, we don't get weary, all that stuff. I get that, but in the end, it's not about our ability to manufacture. It's about his ability. It comes from him, and I think, as we said earlier, that takes the pressure off. It also allows us to realize it isn't up to us in the end.
Well, and even like, just to be his vessels, like, I know that's such a, kind of churchy, churchy word, but like, just to be made aware that God can be moving in our life or in someone else's life, and like you said, like a river, just to be overflowing with the love that God has given us, and to just, no matter what group we're in or community that we're in, we can always make Jesus proud,
Yeah. Make Jesus proud. There it is again. That's good. That's good.
That's what Mandy always says.
Yeah, I know. We know. I love that.
She should just be on this podcast.
So if we're going to change the analogy from reservoir to river, I think what I should do is I should just be pouring.
Oh, here we go.
Just keep it filling up. Talk about your cup overflowing.
Oh, I know, right?
Here we go. And then you have to sip
nice.
this. I'm going to keep pouring it, and you have to keep sipping it, and that'll be the perfect.
I'm going to be bouncing off the walls after this podcast.
Yeah. What do you like? Do you taste the smokiness in that?
I do. It's really good.
It's kind of good, right?
It's really
Got
good.
That little. I feel like we should be in the Highlands.
I know.
You know
what we should do is we should do a recording at the tea shop that you and I first met.
Oh, that
would be cool.
That would be great. I don't know if they'd let us.
I don't know if they would either, but that would be worth a question I could ask.
Yeah, we'll just go down memory lane. And
that's what I'm saying. Like we're like, we sat right here. This is where we first met each other and talked.
Because I go by it to see my mom. You go by it to see your mom.
Yes, I do.
And your in-laws.
Yeah.
So one of these times, just pop in there and see if we can do it. That would be
so fun.
Could we do it?
Everything is portable. All you need is power. Yeah. Everything's portable.
All right. So we'll be sipping their tea. We'll promote their tea and all right. Let's.
Well, maybe Yosemite.
Yosemite, which I invented. That's another conversation. But Cindy and I invented a tea called Yosemite.
Did we have it that day? Did they have it that day?
We might have.
I want to say we did.
Yeah, we probably did.
Yeah.
They changed the name.
No, I know they did. Yeah.
And I get no royalties from it. But they still sell it.
Woe is me.
Woe is me for no royalty. It's called Yosemite. Now they've changed the name, but it's still the same thing. It tastes like Yosemite. It's great. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So kind of putting a bow on that point, from scarcity to overflow. The next change that I think it does for us when we start to see our lives as living from God rather than just simply for Him is less about controlling the results and more about trusting what He's doing. Mm-hmm. If it's all up to me, then I feel like, man, I've got to be fruitful. I've got to make this thing fly. I'm the one that's got to make this all work. And if it goes well, we feel good, like, well done. How about that, God? And if it doesn't go well, we feel like we failed. Mm-hmm. But when it's all about allowing Him to flow through us, then really the results are up to Him. And we just simply trust Him. Mm-hmm. And you might, you'll allow God's love to flow through you through an individual, and they don't receive it. That's not up to us. Mm-hmm. That's outside of our ability to control. And so it's up to us to just simply be the vessel of it, the transfer to happen, and then leave the results up to God. The fruitfulness is up to Him, not up to us.
Right. I always go back to a conversation that I had, with a mentor many, many years ago. And he was saying that you never really know where you fall in their God story, right? You could either be at the beginning or you could be somewhere in the middle or somewhere closer to the end. Like you never really know where you fall with them, you know? Mm-hmm. But he said it shouldn't change how you treat them or how you can show them God's love in that way, where they could barely be stepping in, or they could be almost, right there and diving into a relationship with Christ, And so I always think about that anytime I get to talk to anybody on, in life and on their journey. I just kind of go, I don't know where I'm going to fall, in their journey, but I'm just going to be right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Paul put it this way: he says, some people plant, some people water, but God's the one that causes it to grow. Right. And we don't know where we are in the process. Mm-mm. We could be early on, we could be in the middle, we could be late, we could be there to catch the fruit, we could be there to help the fruit grow.
Right.
But we never know. Mm-hmm. But God does, because it's up to Him and not to us. And so we can let go of control and just say it's about trusting and doing and being obedient and trust the results to Him.
For sure.
Yeah. Finally, it's moving from duty to delight. I feel like when I'm working for God, then it feels like it's a duty. It feels like this is something an obligation that I have to do. But when it comes from God, it's a delight. And that's where the surprising part of, I think, the message was on Sunday for me, as well as what's surprising about this passage is that in the middle of this conversation that Jesus has, this discussion with his disciples about the love that God has for him flowing into them and then flowing into others, he inserts this verse in verse 11 about his joy being in us. And I think that's really part of the fruit that comes in our lives. That's part of the side benefit or the results. It's not always there, but it can be there, and it is designed that way so that this will bring his joy into our lives, his delight. It's a byproduct of staying in the flow, is that we have this sense of joy that comes from it. Joy, I was thinking about it today, earlier today, joy isn't just laughter. Joy isn't just, things falling in place. Joy is this deep-seated experience that we have when we know we're connected to God, we are aware of his love for us, and we're sensing that love is flowing through us. The byproduct is joy. That you're not necessarily, laughing out loud or, holding your sides because you're so delighted. It's just almost just this peaceful sense that God is at work in your life, and that can give you a deep-seated joy, even in the midst of really difficult times.
For sure. I know, Mandy and I, we've had some really tough, especially this last year. It's just been really, really tough for us. But I've felt such peace, such joy, and it only comes from God. The joy of our Lord is our strength. And it's kept us going. It's kept us, in the overflow of his love. And there is something that does happen, like you were saying, even on Sunday too, where you're like, we don't know where it necessarily comes. Obviously we know it comes from God, but I'm just saying there's this
it
peace.
Surprises us sometimes. It just shows up in these surprising ways.
Right. You had such a great quote by, I can't remember her name right now.
Oh yeah, by
I can't.
I'm trying to blank.
sorry, that was my bad.
I tried to blank on her name too. Everybody,
Boiler? No.
Yeah, Kate Bowler.
Bowler.
Yeah.
I loved one of the quotes where I'm paraphrasing, but she says like it just arrives, like when we're so desperate and so hurting, the joy of the Lord just appears, and I love that, and I felt that very much so this last year,
Yeah, it's this mysterious thing that just sort of shows up in our lives. It's the result of love and obedience.
Yes.
When we experience God's love and we let it flow through us, the surprising byproduct is joy. I feel like if we chase joy, most of the time we're not going to find it.
It's fleeting.
And even if we do find it, it's not this substantial, it's ordinary joy. It's just a fleeting joy. But when we are in relationship with God and allow his love to flow through us to others, that joy that comes is what Jesus describes as his joy. It's this heavenly joy, this joy that's linked to God the Father, which is amazing. So anyway, I think it's fine for us to think about our lives as I'm doing this for God, but I think it's more important that we see it as we're doing it from God, that we're drawing it from God, and that puts the relationship first. It changes things from me performing to just staying connected. It takes the pressure off. We realize it's not about what I have, but what God can do through me. It means I don't have to control the results because it's ultimately God's doing through me, and the end result is this delight rather than being driven by duty. We get to just enjoy delight along the way. So anyway, hopefully that's kind of a helpful way for people to think about it. Some of these things, to our listeners and viewers who are current, they're listening, right away. I know because a lot of people just kind of catch up in chunks, which is fine too. But if you're current, this kind of set you up for this coming Sunday's message too, because we're going to be talking about the idea of Jesus calling us friends, not servants, and that's really brings out that whole point too. The idea that friends is based on love, servants is based on performance, and the difference is very profound.
That's very good. Very good. Yeah. I have a funny story about that, so I'll save that for
Are you going to tell me?
Well,
you're going to tell us next week.
Yeah, it's a funny story about calling people friends, and it's funny.
Okay, all right.
I'll save it.
Nice. All right. So I can't wait.
Yeah, there you go.
I can't wait. Hopefully that teased you guys enough to listen next week.
There you go. Come back next week.
Ryan has a story about calling someone friends. Well, we invite listeners' comments and questions to this. Lately, it's been more comments than questions.
I feel like the question, they're like, we already know too much about these guys. Now we're just going to start commenting on stuff.
And sometimes I feel like, people will tease you a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I love it, though. I don't take a lot too serious, so I love I love it.
Well, this one is a full-on jab on me.
Really?
Yes. So one of our faithful viewers, because last week I was we were both wearing baseball caps.
Yes.
And he said that Doug needs to learn how to wear a baseball cap. He has a Gomer Pyle look going on.
Who's Gomer Pyle?
That's what I said to him. I go, no one's going to know who Gomer Pyle is. So you're doing a little web. You just searched Gomer Pyle. So apparently, I was wearing my cap up.
I'm gonna put a picture of it in the.
Put
video.
A picture of me last week, side by side with Gomer Pyle. Put that in the YouTube and see if anybody else thinks there's anything serious.
So funny. This is so funny.
Well, it's because Gomer Pyle, I guess, wears his hat up.
Yeah, he wears it up a little bit. Yeah,
and I think I was, wearing it a little bit up last week.
Right. You probably were. You probably didn't want it to be too low because sometimes if you wear hats too low with the lights, then you have that weird little shadow.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
There you go.
I'm thinking about you guys so you could see my eyes. It wasn't just Sheldon, so I had it up a little bit so the light was coming in. He says I have Gomer Pyle. So that would be great if you could put it side by side and see if anybody else thinks there's.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a viral moment back in 2020. Okay, so this is when we were doing church outdoors, right?
Yes.
Okay, Phil Wickham. Sorry,
what
here's
a surprise!
All right, here's another tally.
Yeah,
right,
another tally for Phil Wickham.
So he came out with like a song, and he had like a bandana on. Okay, and I was like, oh, that's so cool! Like I could totally do that.
Yes.
Right. So I was like looking at how to do it like in the mirror and stuff. And so I did it and I wore it like all day on Sunday. Right. Well, people kept on telling me that they were like, why are you wearing a bandana? And I was like, oh, I'm trying to be like Phil. And they're like, do you know who Prison Mike is from The Office?
No.
Okay. So anyway, one of the characters of The Office is trying to like tell the people that in the office like they better like shape up or they're gonna go to prison. Okay, which is like he doesn't have any power to do that. But, but so then he dresses like what he thinks like a prisoner would, and so he wears a bandana, and so everybody was making fun of me, and so I posted it on Instagram and I said, "Am I closer to Phil or Prison Mike?" Right?
Yeah.
From The Office, right? And it kind of went that it was the most popular post I've ever had because it like went viral because I had like hashtagged like Prison Mike and hashtag Phil, and people were voting on it that I had no idea because I put up a poll.
Yes.
And people were viewing it and voting on it. I had no idea who these people were.
Could we also put that?
I'm gonna put it on there too.
Put that on the YouTube too. Have a picture of. We need 3 pictures. We need you in the middle, and we need Prison Mike on one side, and we need Phil on the other side, all wearing the bandana.
Right, and then I'm gonna put this one up too, and then we're gonna vote either Doug or Gomer Pyle.
Yeah, either Doug Kyle or Gomer Pyle. Which one is it? Which one?
Your contact might get changed in my phone. I'm just letting you know. You might be Gomer from now on.
Wow. Wow.
That's cold, man.
That's brutal.
That's
It's brutal. You know?
That's gacho, as we say.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. All right. Well, I guess there's no holds barred anymore on this podcast.
Oh, man. That is so funny.
All right. Well, still got tea. You're good over there?
I
All
do.
right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we got little Scottish tea to keep us warm on this rainy morning.
Yeah.
Thanks to Ryan. Thanks for your contributions.
Thank you,
thanks for all the editing you're going to do after that.
Thank you, Gomer.
Come on, Mike.
It was Mike?
Prison Mike. Come on, Mike. Yeah, I mean, I can change my, contact photo for you too.
Prison
and thank you to our enthusiastic
Yes,
viewers
thank
and
you.
listeners. Until next time, you've been listening to Unhurried with Doug Pyle. I look forward to talking soon.